Hey! Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yo, doy. Hey, what's up, Adam Scott? Alright, lots of people today. Whew. Tell me, what is it that brought you here? Are you a gamer? If so, we have a video game for you. My name is Thierry, I'm not a streamer. So I'm a game director, designer, and writer. I work at Sabotage. We make retro-inspired games with modernized design. We're working on a turn-based RPG called Sea of Stars. And we're going to take a look at it today. We have a pretty cool little quest for you. That's kind of low stakes and not spoiling too much. So we're not really going to talk about the messenger today, though. It's all about what's ahead. And I got Matt with me today. Matt, are you there? Ooh, nice. I like that new microphone you got. So for sure. So can we all hear Matt? Are the volumes balanced for your listening pleasure? No sound from Matt. Can't hear Matt. Oh, wait, I think I know why. What if we do this? Can you hear Matt now?
Now, can you hear me now? Matt very low. Hi
Is
everyone.
Matt very low? Is Matt high enough now?
Yes, alright. Looks okay now.
See, all it took,
hi again.
yeah, all it took was we torture them with the cozy title screen again. Um, all right, so we have a lot to cover today. It's going to be mostly a Q&A, I guess, and hence why Matt is here. He took all of your questions, and we're going to streamroll through them as much as we can. We do have a lot. But first,
Yeah.
we're going to go through a tiny bit of a story intro for today's little quest. I'm going to tell you a little bit about combat. There haven't been really any changes in terms of design. It's more that it's kind of coming together more fully now. So those of you who've been following the project for a long time will kind of maybe get a better grasp of what I've been rambling about for years at this point. So we've got combo attacks to look at and things like that. Drop a demo or something else. Wouldn't that be the dream? Alright, so let's jump right in. So first thing you gotta notice, if let me know if the volumes aren't good. So first thing you might notice is that we now have kind of like a third. Everyone is visible outside of combat, right? That was a comment we kept getting from time to time, like, why is it that you've got the 3 characters, but you really only see two running around? It's just a thing that it doesn't carry any risk, in terms of production. It's just something that we do later, and we're kind of that's where we're at now. So you wake up in an inn and you don't remember what happened last night. No, so we're in the port town of Brisk. We rented a room for the night, and you can go through cupboards as you would. So I guess we've got some leather pauldrons now. Wait, he's pretty buff already. Alright, Zell can have it. And so we're on a quest right now. We're kind of early in the game still. We beat the Elder Mist trials. We're now fully fledged Solstice Warriors, and our first task is to get to Wraith Island in time for the eclipse, because there's only the one dweller left in this world, and we're supposed to meet Moraine and all the others to go and take care of that. And we're now at the point where we want to secure a boat ride. And in order to do that, we made a deal with pirates, and the pirates essentially said, look, there's an abandoned wizard's lab just north of Brisk, and if you go there and fetch a magic coin for us, we'll give you a ride to Wraith Island. And so we're here to, so we accepted their deal, essentially. Or rather, we lost a bet, so now we have to do a fetch quest for them. So let's go and do that. So this cargo thing is essentially yes, North of Risk. Thanks, Captain. Cargo, right? So cargo is for non-playable characters that tag along for a story beat or things like that. And essentially they still appear, like if you go out on the world map, you set up camp, they will be there around the campfire and you can like talk to them for kind of flavor text or some reminders of what you're supposed to do next. Of course we can't camp here because we're in town, but if we were out on the world map, right, we could camp. So let's prepare. Hold on. We're ill-equipped. Okay, so we have food. Yes, we have food. Let's look at equipment. Are you looking for new... I mean, I was. Okay, so... That's overpowered. Okay, let's do one of these. And one of these. Ooh, weapon upgrade, anyone? Here's a better staff for your Lunar Monk. And let's give you this since you got the weapon. That seems fair, right? Okay. So we'll be cooking later, so let's look at it's not a live stream if we don't bake a fish pie, am I right? Spend it all. Alright, let's go. And off we go to... Oh wait, I guess I can sell the previous stuff, right? Are you a gamer? Do you optimize your finances? Okay. Yeah, we're not announcing any platforms today. Tu vas-tu avoir un mode québécois? Ben oui. C'est sûr que oui. I think that... Yeah, let's just break the balance here. Okay. Alright. Little stroll on the world map here. Oh, so, okay, so here's the biggest, like... here's the biggest tease for you today. So this area right here, it's called the Coral Cascades. And this area contains Yasunori Mitsuda's first track for the game, but we're not going there today. Sorry about that. No desert today. Sorry. You're gonna have to do that one yourself. So we're on Sleeper Island. Sleeper Island got its name because of the giant sky serpent that sleeps curled up around a mountain. As you can see, the mountain is filled with holes. That's because the wind is playing a melody through the mountain, is blowing through the mountain, playing a melody that keeps it asleep. It would be quite the apocalypse if it woke. But we can worry about that later. So today we're going to the abandoned Wizard's Lab, which we stumbled upon earlier, but there was no way to open it. But the pirate captain said that her crew would let us in. So let's go. Alright, so it's time to pull the hacker voice. I'm in. So now we can go into the abandoned wizard's lab. And so this is a pocket world of illusion. And the wizard has been dead for a very long time. But we're here to fetch a magic coin. In order to do that, we're gonna have to go through the illusions. So whenever you enter a dungeon, we're gonna give you there's always kind of like a checkpoint, a place where you can go. Whenever you see a campfire spot, it's usually gonna have the save book as well, right? La chasse les petits bums, c'est des petits baveux. And so you can rest here, you can cook, you know, because in battle you need your snacks to kind of heal up. There's no like potions in the game, it's all about food, because we like the savory illustrations. But we can look at that later maybe. And so for now we're here to figure out what is going on in this place that seems rather empty but has a magic portal. You ever heard of magic portals and wizards? Alright, let's get this started with a green crystal. And so, of course, as you progress in the game, right, you've got your inventory and like the items you find and things like that, and your ingredients, and you also have your key items. Here's a bit of dev dust for you. See, green crystal description. I've yet to get to that, so you know the game isn't finished yet, right? People keep asking for release. We'll tell you when it's done. All right, so we put the green crystal here, and we get the green portal. It's time to play with colors. So, combat. Enemies behave outside of combat. You can try to kind of dodge, but as soon as there's physical contact, battle initiates, right? And there's no loading, no transition. Battle always takes place in the same environment or area that you encounter the enemies. We wanted to have something that was seamless, feels like a world that you can touch, right? And, of course, the music slaps. That's Eric W. Brown for you, and for me, for the whole world. Okay. So, combat is not only about hitting hard, right, or just using the one move that you like, it's that everything has utility, right? So through damage types, probably a bunch of you know already about the Lux mechanics that we have going on, enemy weaknesses and things like that, but there's also displacement. For example, if you take your boy, the warrior cook here can hurl. And so by hurling, what you can do is grab an enemy and basically yeet it closer to another one. And well, that's super helpful because... Oh, wait. Okay, so you can time your... So I failed to time my blocks here, but you can actually press at the right time to reduce incoming damage. And all of your attacks as well have, if you press at the right time, they're going to deal more damage. So here, because we put the enemies together, I could do a sunball, which is going to hit both enemies, right? Because it's going to hit in the area around the target, where if I do it there, I only hit the one, right? So this kind of displacement gameplay, it's not extensive, too extensive. It's not about it being like a tactical RPG, right? It's really just about you showing off with the thing you feel is coolest. But you want to see something new, though? Valar now has Crescent Arc, so she can also do area damage if I press it right. Nice. And also everyone's got a double attack now, so if I press at the right time with my normal attack, even with Zale, I'm gonna get a second hit. And then using your regular attack creates boost charges, meaning that you can essentially absorb that in another character, and it gives your attacks, it contributes a portion of your magic attack to your regular attack, also making it also adding your own magic damage type to your attack. So if you look there just at the top right and the little tooltip, it says that my regular attack will only do the basic sword is like the regular damage, but if I boost, now I'm gonna do regular plus moon, right? So if an enemy was weak to moon, I would get that extra kick. You feel it looks like a good video game? The hype is there in the chat. Ça rentre chez nous à Chris, ouais, ça rentre chez nous aussi, man. Alright, so let's figure this out here. Pressure plate. This track was actually composed by both Eric and Jake. They did it together. It's kind of like it's a bit of a moodier one. Let's see here. As you can tell, in terms of traversal and navigation, like everything that looks like you can jump over or grab or hoist up or jump down. Again, we're really looking for that feel of touching the world. You know, it's like you can slay a dragon, but there's a log in the way, so you can't, you know, oh no, we gotta find an axe, you know. I'll fly up to the stars and crash a meteor on your face, but there's no way you know, stepping over a log. So we have a blue crystal now, so let's. So you get a quick like key items menu here, you know, in dungeons where you need keys or things to activate. All right, so let's try blue now. Man, these wizards, am I right? So, hey Matt, I know we have a bunch of questions, so maybe we can actually start. I'll just go through the dungeon while taking questions. It's probably the best, right?
Yeah, you're ready?
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
Hit
that
me.
game looks good, by the way.
Oh man.
All right, so our first question from Mocha on Discord. They were asking, do enemies scale with your level?
Nope. Wow, that was easy. Next
That's
question.
a straightforward one.
Yep.
All right, I have an interesting one. You were teasing a Mitsuda track earlier, so
Yes.
About music. There was a question asking if how do you decide which tracks were composed by Mitsuda, which one would be composed by Eric, and how do you create a coherent like soundtrack with both composers?
Also, I put myself in the shoes of a hardcore Mitsuda fan, which I am, so these are my shoes already. And it was basically what would be the dream, right? If we're to get like around 10 tracks out of this legend, right? Like what would be the boxes you want ticked, right? So you need for sure you need a melancholic one, right? Where it's in black and white and you're falling in love during the autumn while, you know, you feel the hope of a new spring, and which he did already, but we're not sharing that one yet. But there's one track he wrote. It's called "In the Womb of the Stars," and it's everything. So you need him to do world map, right? You need him to do melancholic. You want him to do boss battle. You want him to do regular battle. You need something spooky. So essentially, like it was kind of a list of the archetypes of what would be the thing sticking out as would have been great if he did it. No, but yeah, we're getting some very good music out of him, as you would expect. Okay, so here we have some enemies with Lux. For those who don't know, it's when enemies are preparing a special move. They're essentially casting their spell. You can see Lux, and the Lux basically are if we break them, it cancels the spell that they're preparing. If I can bounce a Moonrang enough times, I mean I'm no Estonian king, but I'll try. Hold on. Oof. I mean, almost. And so, well, actually, let's look at something else here. So, since we broke some Lux and we did it right in battle, we earned some combo energy. If you see to the left now, and now we have 1 point, right? So now we can go into the combo menu, which we're not spending. So we're only spending the turn of the main character triggering the action, but we're not spending any MP or anything else. Because as you see, we're playing with very low numbers, right? The cap on MP is super low. And doing regular attack recovers some MP, so the idea is that there's this dance, right, with your attacks. But then combos are something else entirely. So let's try a Solar Rain here, which I'm gonna boost to make it count even more. So what we're gonna do is, through the power of friendship, Zale and Gal are going to combine for a Sunball that's broken down to hit all targets. Nice! Combo attacks, everyone. Yeah, so it was basically in talking with Eric, and I had a first list, and he was like, yeah, that makes sense, but how about this or that? And it took, I think we got on a call, it took about 20 minutes, and we're like, yeah, this is the dream, you know, this is, if we're responsible to bring some of his music in a retro style game, you know, to the crowd, here's the comprehensive, you know, slice. And oh, let's dodge this guy. Okay. Yeah, so it was really fun actually. Dungeon lettuce. Yes. Infernax gave us the ultimate wall chicken. I'm oh man. So yeah, Matt, I'm ready if you want to keep shooting.
Yeah, cool. So Reglan on Discord was asking if there would be some accessibility options, especially for combat.
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely. So, well, okay, so let's. I mean, and this is like its own like whole thing, right? But the short answer is oh yeah, totally. So things like, as you can see, I used the sunbar, right, and I was mashing. It's understood that some people don't or can't do that, and so or don't want to, you know. So yeah, we're gonna have options for that. And usually, what we want to do is we want to look at. So, hold on, I'll give you an example here. Because we don't have this, goes into difficulty as well, like there's no difficulty options in the game, like you don't pick easy or medium or hard, but the trinkets that you can equip here, what they do is they modify the game a lot. So for example, hopefully this will be comprehensive, but if you equip an Amulet of Storytelling, right, you have ridiculous hit points, and your health automatically refills by half after each combat. So that essentially, that's one thing that you could equip to make the game way easier. And there would also be things to, for example, automate the timing your inputs. But since we never expect anyone to have 100% accuracy, the downside would be that it doesn't do as much to time it, kind of. And then on the other end, the Gambler's Earring would be the expert mode, where you barely have any hit points, but timing your hits, it doubles the effect, right? And so the game will be balanced, so for it to be played in different, like if you prefer to focus on the story or if you prefer to have like the optimal challenge, but we won't be like you know, like gatekeeping. Oh no, you can never do the you know, the final boss or get the good ending, or like no, it's about you, right? It's not about. Okay, so now, because see, now we lit the second pillar, so now we can start mixing colors. Thank you, Dead Wizard, for this lesson in colors. I'm ready, Matt. Is Matt still there? Is Matt muted?
Yes, yes, sorry. I had a problem with my mic right there.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so MW Wolf was curious if like, because we know that time of day is a big feature in the game, so they wanted to know if the NPCs will be affected when you change the time of day. So they have an example like in Majora's Mask, where everyone has routines and they go through during each day. You can only do some side quests at certain times because an NPC is there at that specific moment. So
right. So the short answer here is no. We didn't want to get into kind of like you know, developing a whole bunch of use cases and AIs and everything, because it's not, because in Majora's Mask it's the core of what you're supposed to do as you play the game, right? Whereas in our case, okay. So in our case, it's much more about like progressing the story. So time of day will be used, like you playing with light and things like that. It's more about activating some devices or solving some puzzles, you know, or opening special places that are only meant for Solstice Warriors to access and things like that. But yeah.
Nice. And next up, oh, sorry, are you ready to share?
Oh yeah, go ahead. I just failed an input here.
A question from Hypno Speaker. Is there going to be comedy like the style of the Messenger story, or will this game be more serious in tone?
Well, there's a pirate with a magic shirt that he can rip to be super ripped for a few seconds. I mean, it's the same. It's the same writer. I write every single word myself, so it comes from the same brain, I guess. But it's more of an epic quest, right, than like a silly thing. But there is humor in there as well. I mean, I can't I can't help myself when it comes to that. But it's much less. It's more serious in tone for sure. You know, and there's no like fourth wall breaking or real world references at all. But there is, yeah, one character will be calling out a few RPG tropes. You gotta deal with me on this one. Sorry. So level up is you go to the screen and you pick your bonus. Wait, give me. I'm the solar mage. And then more. Wait, no attack. Tank build.
While we're on the level up screen, I have a question from a nukester.
Yep.
Who was wondering if the level up bonus that the player selects have an actual impact on the game and battles, or it will they end up being essentially arbitrary.
No, if it were arbitrary, we'd remove it basically. The idea is that based on how you choose to play, like if you want to go more for the attack power or you want to have bigger health bars or whatever, it really depends on your how much margin for error you're looking for. But no, it's not. As with the ARG, there's no fake choices here. It's not gonna break the game, obviously, but no, it's gonna let you play it the way you want. Ooh, puzzle. Yep.
So we showed some new an updated look at sailing this week. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah, wait, and ASM Avoc wanted to know if we'll be able to explore and walk around the ship which we sail on.
Absolutely, yeah. So the idea is that while you're on the ship, while you're sailing, there's a key that you can press that basically brings you into, we just call it character view, right? And so from there you can walk around the ship, and each of your party members have the place where they like to think of as their own room or whatever. You can go and talk to them. That's how it's much like the campfire, where you can do that to get pointers on what you're supposed to do next and things like that. And also, so one other thing there is when it comes to well, yeah, I guess we don't want to spoil too much, but yeah. Yes, the answer is yes.
Nice. And the next one might be a big one, but
okay.
People were wondering, what are you struggling with the most right now at this point of production?
I mean, the worst was finishing the script. I thought it would be a few months, and it took me 3 years. But that's now over, so it's been over for about a month now. So that was the big one. No, other than that, we're just we're in the process of, you know, feels like there's maybe less than a year left now before we're ready to call it, you know, gold. And so now we're just going through the motion, but we're really past a point, because the thing is without going too much on a rant here, it's at first you have the vision, right, and you're like, this is how the game is supposed to feel like. That would be, I think that feels good, you know. You convey that to the team, and then everyone starts working on it, and then you kind of have this thing that doesn't feel like that, and you're trying to iterate and polish and tweak and rethink some things, and until you feel that connection, and that it's strong enough that if you impress it on someone, they'll go like, oh, I'm naming exactly what you try to convey here. And so we're way past that point now, where the game speaks for itself and feels like its own unique thing, right? And so it's been a while now that everyone on the team has a genuine feel on what makes sense within the game, and so we're all just working towards that. So I don't know if that made sense, but it's basically it's fun.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Right, let's go fishing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And yeah, and to continue on the subject of, like, yeah, what's going forward and what's still going on with production and like the waiting for the release, what it's like dealing with the fan response so far, because Goober Barbarian is saying that like Sea of Stars seems to have a lot more consistent social media and support and presence. Do we feel like that adds some pressure to the game development, or does it make it easier knowing that we already have like a loyal fans and
yeah, no,
waiting
it's.
for the game?
I mean, we're blessed with like, it's like what 99% positive whenever someone comments on anything, right? So we somehow we really kind of got together a community that's like really wholesome and understanding. So I wouldn't say it's like a stress or a pressure on the team. And the other thing too is, well, it's you, Matt and Phil, right? Is that we have two people on the team who are full-time dedicated to more the marketing / community side. And so, for example, you see a weekly post on Twitter. So Matt every week is like, oh, maybe we could run around in Brisk, maybe we could look at combat, and so he looks at production and within what we can show that's not spoiler, always comes up with ideas of things to show, and then handle all the comments that come in and all of that. So no one that's on production has to step away to take care of that, to make sure we maintain a presence, right? So that's really good. But Matt, how do you feel about that? It seems like you guys are doing great, right, on that front?
Well, yeah, our job is made easier by the fact that our community is so awesome, and like you said, everything is always so positive, and people are excited about the game. So that makes our job way much easier on that side of things, and it's cool that we can show. People might feel sometimes like we show a lot of stuff, but it's still like a minimal section part of the game.
Oh man, that's the that's the hardest thing, right? Is once people play it, they're gonna look back like I was so excited about like 4% of the whole thing, and like we're just sitting on it like, oh man, if you only knew. But yeah, it's by far the most annoying thing about this line of work. Okay, so we have someone here in the well. So we can catch a fish here. I'll just do real quick the fishing in case some of you have missed the pitch. So basically, it all takes place in the game. There's no interface. It's design process for me is always mapping like irritants and things that are annoying and finding something that's like, oh, it ticks all the boxes. So this one is you fully play in the world, right? So you press to cast, and while the bobber is flying, you retain air control left and right. And then when you press again, you kick it down. And if you land close enough to a fish, it's a hook. And then you kind of have this tug of war. You need to keep it in the reel zone, and so you hold the button to reel. And if you do it like outside of the zone, obviously you break your line, right? Wait, let's catch a... Boo! Wait, I want to do like a... Yes! Hold on, because we have like a Medusa now. Not a Medusa, that's in French. A jellyfish, a man of war. And you can also, oh yes, very important to note that you can also swim in the lake. So you can try to get them closer, you know. But then they all kind of settle back again, so you really only get it once. Hold on, this one, I want you. Nice. Lunar trout. I mean, it's not really cheating, because in both cases you play with time, right? Either you spend some time swimming or you spend some time reeling. So it's really about giving you that Okay, so you want to fish. Thank you very much, my friend. Bim. Oof. Respawn timer. Yeah, well, so about respawn timer, it's basically you can if you empty the lake, right? Because usually you're gonna access them from the world map. This is like a more special one. That's more of a one-off kind of vibe. Which by the way, you can jump down instead of hiking down. Whoop. Okay, bye. Yeah, so to answer the question on fishing, it's basically there's gonna be a lot, and if you empty it, you can always exit and come back, and there's gonna be a few. But yeah, there's gonna be like kind of a secret, a hidden, a cooldown, sorry. I guess we didn't do yellow yet. How long has it been? I think we're nearing the end of the demo for today, so let's do more questions.
Yes, let's do this. I had not seen these jellyfishes myself so far, so that's
Oh,
cool.
okay. New content for you, Matt.
So an interesting one that I don't think we ever talked about this, but Mean Goat was asking, is there going to be a kind of lore tab in the menu to read about different stuff in the game, like a bestiary or a item log?
Oh yeah, so there's a... we just call it the codex. And basically the codex is... well, essentially what you said, right? If you meet an important NPC, maybe the bio is added. There's gonna be a roster of like, did you catch all the fish, all the recipes you have for cooking, you know? Yeah, I mean, I'll just leave that answer as at the... It's what you would expect, right? But yes. Yes.
Great. And Sean H was asking, what's a feature, be it enemy type or mechanic, that the team wanted to include but couldn't find a good way to implement?
So a big one was... Oof. Nice. Good work. Huh. I'm not sure I can think of one. I mean... No, I don't have one.
That's all right. I can, well, something in the same like vein, but maybe you can answer this one. Intro is asking, has there been any amusing bugs or glitches discovered during development, and have any of them influenced the feature that will be in the game?
Alright, there's been some glitches, yes. Influence the feature. No, sorry, there isn't one that comes to mind here either.
All right. And
a bad answer to a good question. I apologize.
and what approach did you take when developing, or do you take when you develop a new boss or a player character? And how do you decide on balance between party members and make bosses unique and rememberable? That's a big one.
It's it really all comes from the script first. Is essentially like, what's the beat here? Like, what do you fight at the top of the mountain, right? So on the one end it's making sure that thinking of the game as kind of like a rollout, right? That every biome that you go through, right? You know, there should be grass at first, really early. There should be, you know, there should be ice. There should be fire. You should be in the sky. You know, kind of like all the atoms of it being an epic adventure. And so you kind of map this in a way that's like, yeah, this all makes sense, and then everything is in continuity so that they feel right in their respective environments. And then when balancing comes in, it's more about making sure that the enemies that you face during a dungeon and then the boss, that it's not too redundant. You know, you don't want to have a dungeon where it's like there's 3 different enemies and each of them do a double hit, no one is a caster, you know, and then the boss also does a double hit, or that like you just fought something that summons more minions and then the boss also does that. So it's very much about kind of treating this gigantic like sheet of how novel is something, how long has it been since the archetype of a thing, and it's not due being reused yet or whatever. Yeah, so it's really more about the global vision, and I mean that's all part of game design. Ooh, Obsidian Cauldron Lid. Wait, that one is overpowered. Nice. You ever cook with obsidian?
I didn't, not myself. Another question that always comes up when we do these kinds of Q&A, but I think always bring up some good discussion is how long will the game take for the main story and for completionists and for different type of like
we're not
playthrough.
right. Yeah, we'll never answer that one, and you're free to open your presents before Christmas when the game comes out if you want to know before you play. But I would strongly suggest you don't, because like in the event that there's a moment where you're supposed to think it ends but then something else happens, like how much of the thing are you ready to ruin for yourself by going in there knowing, you know, it's not gonna end there, you know? So yeah, we'll never answer that, but what we can promise you is that we understand the genre that we're inscribing this in, and it's going to feel right. Hey, so let's camp. You ever camped? Okay. So when you camp, you can talk to your party. They're just chilling, and basically, if you go to them, they will offer you. You know, again, it's this thing of you haven't played the RPG for 2 weeks, you know, and you're like, oh, where am I supposed to go? So you just set up camp, and then you talk to everyone, to all your party, and one of them is always going to tell you like, oh, now that we can open the mountain, we should go north of this thing we all remember or whatever, you know. And so too on the boat, if you go in character view on your boat, you can also get some of that. Let's see if we can cook here. Cooking is coming together nicely. Last time we showed it, it was mostly like just there was not much to look at, but now see we have a bunch of recipes, and all with very slick illustrations. And when you actually make something, you get like kind of like a dynamic string of illustrations and sound effects. Let's see if we can hear this. Let's make a tomato club. Right? Yes. So that's cooking for you. So every recipe that you make has this like has its own little sequence like this, so that it feels tasty. Very tasty.
Where is Putin? Is Zubi asking in the
chat. We'll see. All right. Do you have any more for me, Matt?
Yeah, I can go on for hours with the number of questions.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's
stop me when.
Okay. Well,
when it's enough.
I'll just take a break here and let's just do questions back to back so we can get as much done as we can. Because if I go, what's next now is putting the 3 prisms and going to the boss. So if I do that, the stream is over.
Yes. So yeah, let's squeeze in a few. One thing we haven't shown or teased like in a while is the animated cutscenes in the game. And Radiant Fire was asking what inspired the team to include this kind of cutscenes in the game.
Well, I mean, it's just awesome, right? You look at for me, I think Jeanne d'Arc on PSP was the big one that did it, and it really felt right. Though that was the scope of that was like it had voice acting, you know, and everything, and there was a lot of the story was being told through those cinematics. For us, it's more about punctuating, like adding, just making like one moment more impactful, you know. There's gonna be probably around like 10, most of them more on the shorter end. So just if we intro a very important character, you're gonna get like just a good full view and just waving hi, you know, and things like that. And the main thing it does is, because we're kind of cursed, right, with this camera angle, is we can only show the world from this perspective, whereas by adding in those cinematics, if you discover a new town and we want to feel like, oh, here it's so, you know, it's so sunny and all, we can use angles that the game can't do, right? We also have panel cutscenes, which are kind of like comic strips that overlay on top of the game for some moments. So you can think of Phantasy Star 4 as a reference here for those in the know.
Cool. And also, is the full soundtrack done, or are we still working on making this cool OST? A question from Frisk.
Still working on it. It is very cool though.
Yes, I guess there's still a lot of work to do on that side too.
Oh yeah.
Um, Also, well, one question that we get always everywhere on social media and things is if we'll get a permanent playable or even like a timestamp playable demo to try out before the release.
Uh, it's hard. It's hard to tell. Again, it's looking like there's a little less than a year left, which probably puts us over the holiday. But we're looking at options, and we'd like to make sure that you have something to play this year. It only sounds fair, right?
I guess it does.
We've been teasing a lot. It's probably time to
yeah.
let you play it. Yeah.
Also, will there be combat dialogue between characters?
Dialogue during combat is, I mean, it's not a thing that like, if you're talking about like every single time you use an attack, your character goes like sort of light. No, that's not gonna happen. Not remotely close. I mean, I love Tails, but this is not it. So no. I mean, you know, yes, there's gonna be the odd, like, during combat there's an event and the boss is like, oh yeah, well then try this, you know? But like the base of it is about you.
Nice. And next up, a question from Ran Cossack on Discord.
Yep.
How far will character customization go? Will there be option for upgrading particular skills, traits and such, or possibly optional techniques to learn from doing side quests or meeting certain criteria?
Not really. So what we're playing with is really small kits for each character. So they each have, you can think of MOBAs basically, where each character has three special moves and one ultimate. And ultimate is built on a separate like thing that you spend. But then the thing is with combo attacks, as there are 6 characters, all of them combine, so all the combinations exist at least once, and so then that gives you more options, and it's more about you kind of fully understanding, because with the locks and like the localized AoE, the full screen AoE, the single target, the multi-hit, and all the damage types, because more characters bring more damage types, you know. So what that does is you kind of develop this understanding of, oh, what I need here is, let's say for example, you know, sand magic or whatever, to name something that doesn't exist in the game. So you're like, oh, I need the character that can throw sand, right? Oh, but what if an enemy needs moon and sand damage to kind of break what it's doing? Then you have an understanding that with Valor and your sand character, you can like probably do a combo that is going to resolve that. And we're keeping it lean enough so that it's more about the utility of it, right? You're not going to have a spell or a skill that isn't good anymore because it was only good between level 3 and 6 or whatever. It's at the end of the game, it's scaled with your character, with your magic attack, and you can still read situation where that's the key for the thing. Our combat is not so much about the numbers, it's much more about the kind of playing around with the different ways to do different types of damage. I saw the question about if weapon is gonna affect. So we're gonna have it's gonna change like the color of your blade essentially if you equip something else. But other than that, we're not touching the costumes or anything because everything is hand drawn, animated. So it's not just like we could change the colors, but not the gear on the character. Plus, it doesn't really feel retro, so we're all about the retroness.
And will there be much along the lines of side quests and optional things to do outside of cooking and fishing? So any plans for any possible mini games, perhaps? Which we have one, yes.
For what? Sorry.
Plans for any possible mini games in the game?
Well, yeah, right. Well, so the watchmaker invented a game called Wheels. It's played on a modified table. It's like a clockwork thing. And yeah, everyone plays it. It's all the rage. So yeah, I mean it's all optional, right? Of course, but if you choose to play wheels, yeah, you can get some of that for sure. Okay, there might be a quiz, NPC, you know, things like that, of course. That's for you to discover, though.
And also, will the Moonrang be nerfed compared to the demo version?
Yeah, it has been already. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
right.
pretty overpowered. Yeah. Oh man.
Still a cool attack though.
It is.
And a question for people who might not know exactly where Sea of Stars fit in the Messenger universe. So Fireball Me was asking how closely Sea of Stars is related to the Messenger.
It's the same. It's in the same universe. And so in Messenger there has been a flood, and there was only the one island left, right, where the Messenger had to carry a scroll across that island. So now we're before the flood, and so it's in an archipelago, so there's many islands for you to explore, and so you sail around, and they each have their own little like thing going on. But yeah, it's way prior.
And then another question from Kartaka was asking, will there be a meaningful difference for a second playthrough, a new game plus, besides difficulty changes?
Not really. We don't want. We don't want to. We talked about it extensively, and we chose not to. We hinge more towards like not being annoying to the ones who just want to feel like they can be done if they only played it once. There is like an extended ending, like a good ending kind of, if you kind of complete more stuff. But that you can still do that from your one save. But New Game Plus though is planned for post launch. So yeah, we'll see what we do precisely with that. But the idea is just to kind of let you do it if you want to. Yeah. We'll see what it becomes.
Yes. An interesting one from Kat was wanted to know what's the biggest thing you've learned from making this game, and how will it affect future developments?
The biggest thing I learned is it takes a long time to write one. I mean, as a studio, I would say we completed our team way more into everything we wanted to do ourselves. You know, from production to even self-publishing. It feels like we're complete now. So this one is much closer in terms of quality and scope to what the initial intention was. But yeah, I mean, there's more where that came from. No, I guess we learned that there's hype around it, and we should put in the extra effort. So we're in the process of doing that.
Nice. Maybe a few other ones before we go.
Sure.
So, will there be any love story or romance between Sun and Moon, or in general in the game?
Nope. No romance.
Nope. No romance. All right.
It's all about the adventure.
And has it been confirmed if the battle theme will be changed during nighttime? Question from Yoshizor.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's yes. Yes, there is a night version of the battle theme. Maybe we could post that as a weekly post sometime soon. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Noted. And Rain was asking if there will be like, what's the extent of side content in the game?
The extent of the side content? It's hard to give like kind of a percentage or anything, but I mean, it's going to be there in a proportion where everything is kind of you're not gonna feel templates being reused. If you know what I mean, like so everything is a one-off, right? Including the optional content. So you might see some recolored enemies or something, but you're never gonna be like, oh yeah, it's that thing that was cool once again, you know. But then also at the end of the game, again, you know, we don't want to lean on Chrono Trigger too much, but we know most of the fan base understands that game deeply. So, you know, when your save is called the Fated Hour, and it's like you go to the final boss whenever you want, but also, you know, Luca wants to do this, and Robo wants to, and so there's kind of this idea that late game or end game, by the time you go to the final dungeon / final boss whenever you want, there's a few things you can now take care of, you know. And also, for example, I don't know if you noticed, but earlier there was like a pushing a cube as the animation I'm doing right now is there's thing you can push that slide on the floor, right? But you don't start the game with the ability to do that. At some point there's a dungeon where you're stuck because of things you can't push, and then you find that, you know, Mistral bracelet, and then you can start doing that. So you know, so maybe earlier in the game you saw, oh, that's how I can get up there to that chest. So if you go back, you kind of use that thing, and then you can go up, right? So there's a bit of that going on for those who want to 100% and try everything and mess around. But it's never like it's never forced. But yes, it's understood. Like a lot of people are asking questions that kind of in between the lines mean, are you going to give me a reason to spend time there? So yes, of course, we understand that urge, and we're addressing it.
Cool. ASM Avok was asking if what is the development approach to achievements, like Steam achievements or Switch or anything?
Well, I mean, it's kept really light. For me, it's more of a I don't think of it as a core design ingredient. It's more a layer on top for those who care about that, and also it's a mix of humor and kind of putting a frame around the challenge if you're looking to have challenges within the game. But it comes in much later. Yeah, personally, I'm not big on them as a player. But if you looked at Messenger and you thought it felt right, it's gonna be along the same vein, because I haven't personally moved much when it comes to that. You know, it's ways to make you laugh sometimes, or to acknowledge what you probably thought in a specific moment, in a specific beat, and also give you those extra challenges. And for sure, we're gonna have our own layer in the game, where through the codex we were talking about earlier, you're gonna be able to track everything in there. And then if you play on a platform that happens to mirror that, we'll be giving you those. So you think of Steam, right, which does have achievement. But if you play on Switch, you're still gonna have like your self-contained. Here's everything I can tick. If I'm that kind of player.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. We have a question in the chat right now who was asking if the game rewards backtracking and getting cool items or story things.
I mean, yeah, things like, you know, you have a traveling historian who you meet at the campfire, and so when you find relics, you kind of bring him back, and it's like, oh, a new story just wrote itself in my book. You want to hear it by the campfire? You don't have to do it, you know. And yeah, then again about the you know, maybe you meet someone in the town, and it's like, oh man, I'm just looking for like a white rock or whatever, you know, and maybe there's a white rock later. If you go back, you get something. You don't have to, you know. But yeah. Yes.
Yes. And okay, so Zealous wanted to know if you, Thierry, would admit that dragons exist in the world of Messenger and Sea of Stars.
Well, they don't, so I don't know why I would admit that. But no, so there's a sky serpent, and I know we have a few people who are like, well, actually, technically, by definition, and that's fine. You're always gonna get those people. This is the internet, right? But they're not dragons. There's sky serpents, and because. So Google Sky Serpent, you're gonna see Manfred. Google Dragon, you're gonna see a big belly with wings on the back, hoarding treasure and capturing a princess. So the word dragon is way too loaded in terms of the implications and your assumptions about their personalities or behavior. So Sky Serpent was a blanker slate. So that we can tell you the story of our Sky Serpents. Because if we said dragon, the first step would be like, we now need to deconstruct what you infer from that word. And if you disagree, that's fine. If you look at them and they're dragons to you, that's also totally fine. But they're Sky Serpents to me, damn it.
I don't know if it will change the mind of the people on Discord, but
It won't. It won't. I mean, but that's okay. You know, it's. I mean,
yeah, that's the fun of it, you know.
We're just geeks, you know.
Yep. And we have often get asked if there will be or we plan on adding voice acting for dialogue. I don't know if you can. I know it's a no, but.
No. You ever cook like a super involved like shrimp souffle and then just throw it in the bin instead of eating it? Like, no. You slap voice acting on top of that and it's like we just cut the retro wire. It's like, no, it all felt right. No way, no way, not ever.
Good. There was a few questions also about the DLC that's already planned after the release of Sea of Stars. I don't know if there's more info or anything we can detail about the DLC that's coming later down the line.
Well, so we announced the there's a Throes of the Watchmaker is a DLC that was actually backers earned that kind of that extra milestone that we're going to be making that. So there's already one DLC that's essentially planned or confirmed. Because in your adventure you're going to meet the Watchmaker, but the Watchmaker is a neutral character, super busy. But then there's going to be a DLC where the Watchmaker is like, hey, I actually need your help here or something, or you got to make a deal with me or something. So we're going to have that adventure. There's also another one, Shade of Kunusnuku, but it's that one is a maybe because we don't know how we get a sense that there's hype, but we don't know how well the game will do. So if the game does well enough, yes, there would be a second DLC down the line. Yes.
Very cool. Next one is from Meridian. Wanted to know
the one with the Chrono Trigger. Nice. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Meridian wanted to know if there will be any LGBTQ plus characters in Sea of Stars.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's okay. So I think that falls to the player actually more, and just as there was the question about romance earlier, right? And that's part of it. Is that we're presenting heroes, right? Characters, personalities, and roles within the story that we're telling, right? Gal is the warrior cook, right? Okay, so if your interpretation is that Gal is a bad cook, we need to talk, and I disagree, and I will, impose your read on what we're making, because he's a pretty damn good cook, right? But then, and the fact that there's no romance in the game, it's also that we won't be speaking to the intimacy or such of our characters. So if you choose to interpret a character a certain way, if you want to read or interpret different interactions in your own, so we're never going to, like, you should make that yours, and so we're never gonna come up with a story beat or a definite thing that's like, nope, your read is wrong, or your fantasy about a character is invalid or can't exist, or no, for me that lives in players appropriating the experience, and actually even those who want to come back to us and tell us, you know, how they felt or what they wish they would see or how it lives in their head. And it's all about gaming is a celebration, you know. We're making something awesome that we hope conveys how we feel and the fun we had playing games, and we hope you can do that as well. And everything is kind of allowed within you know. And so sorry, so I guess Moraine had kids is like probably one thing that will kind of be mentioned. But other than that, there's not a single nugget of anything that would invalidate your read or preference.
That's cool. And then, will everyone in your party be able to fight at the same time, or will it be like Chrono Trigger and make you only choose a certain amount of your party to fight?
Wait, so one moment, someone asked about pause. I mean, you can, if you press pause, it pauses, right? You see the animation stops on the beams there. Not during combat though. Maybe during combat if it's your turn to pick an action. But while action is playing, you can't pause because it would mess with like reading the animations to time your inputs. It would either allow you to cheese it or make it unfair. You know, like the boss makes an ultimate attack and dinner's ready, and then you come back and you just get blasted. You know, so there's gonna be these pockets of actions where you can't. But other than that, yeah, we'll allow pausing, of course. Yeah. So sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah, the question was about because like right now we only shown like the three playable characters that we see there that are Zale, Garl, and Valir. But once there will be more playable characters revealed in the game, will everyone in your party be able to fight at the same time?
Right, okay.
It's more like Chrono Trigger where you choose a certain amount.
So you have 3 at the same time in combat. Yeah, that's one thing we can't really show because we're not showing any of the other 3. But so you start off so you have 3 characters in combat at the same time, and then swapping for another one that's not in combat is free. It doesn't even spend your turn. So you hot swap and you act right away with that character, or you hot swap and then go to another one and that character is there in case you just want them to be there to take the hit or whatever. So hot swapping between all 6 is there's no like cost or friction at all. But it's 3 maximum on the battlefield just for other reasons, right? It would be overcrowded. You would have to be fighting 18 enemies at the same time. Everything just becomes a tactical task. And we're looking for a light, you know, feel good. Let's look at some spell effects, you know. Yes. And you can also tag in, sorry. So if you're doing a combo attack and one is in the back row, right? It's gonna replace another one just for that move, and then they leave again, and the one you had comes back. So there's sometimes it's gonna be like, hey, let's real quick, let's do a sun plus something else thing, you know. Did that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Cool. So are we nearly done then, Matt? Maybe we can just look at the boss and then leave.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do this. Let's go see that boss right now.
Did we do that one? We did that one, right? Oh yeah, that's the one where you guess. So any more questions?
Well, I can have a few more, but I think it's been.
Oh wait, there's a question on XP.
Right now, so.
Hold on. So XP is bound to the group. So if you look here at the UI, we're level 6, right? And XP is always 100. So there's a rubber band, a fairly harsh rubber band on XP. So that if you're lingering in the previous dungeon, they barely give any XP, so it's not worth fighting them. And then if you're behind and you're in a new dungeon, you're gonna get a lot more, so that you catch up, kind of. I mean, you still get an edge if you chose to go for it a bit more, but it's always at 100, and everything gets balanced so that you get the amount you're supposed to get to kind of stay on par for the story. And the level is for the whole group. It's not per character, so XP is shared for everyone. So if there's like the one character that you never use, well, still whenever you level up, you go to the like stars with the lake scene where you pick your bonus. You go through all your characters there, regardless of who you used. Great XP system. Cheers, Kolpeta. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the thing with design is you want to like okay, what's lean and addresses the core of why it's supposed to be there. But I'm not a fan of like, you know, battle is over and you get, you know, 900,000, 72, 60 something, and you're just like, what does that mean? I still won't level up for like 20 fights, so like, it's the same with shopping too, right? I don't know if you noticed earlier, but we went shopping and things cost, you know, 60 and maybe 150 and things like that. There's going to be a very low cap on money. If you can think of Zelda or Super Mario RPG, where probably the cap is 500 or like 999 or something, and it's going to be more about like you find a new town, so you kind of empty it a bit more, but then it's going to refill, but selling something you fished remains meaningful. Rather than, you know, the classic shopping where it's like, do I have more digits in my wallet than on this item? And that's how you can tell you can afford something. Low numbers, please. So yeah, Matt, I don't know if you have a...
No, let's go ahead and fight that boss now.
Oh, we're not gonna fight it. We're just gonna look at it and go.
Oh yeah, okay, right. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes. So that's the relics left by the wizard. But yeah, the chromatic apparition. See what we did there with the name? Huh? Do you see it? Oh yeah, we're not fighting the boss. That's a spoiler. We can let the music play though. Matt, if you got a couple more, we can do that, or we can call it now if we're out of questions.
We can do a couple more to finish. And,
sure.
With that boss music in the background.
It's a good one.
So how reliant will the game be on puzzle-like combat? Like for reference, we've seen some battles that can clearly require specific attack chain to properly win the battle. But will there be room for character stats levels to be able to help overcome them, or you will always have to like
for sure. Yeah.
Puzzle, yeah.
Well, so you can, so breaking a spell will really just break the spell. It's not gonna kill the target, you know. So and yes, if someone is about to cast something, and you just do a super high damage thing that's got nothing to do with the lux, I mean, yes, that's gonna give you, that's gonna, if you kill the target, that also can solve the spell, right? And builds combo points and things like that. The thing we're not seeing now, because we didn't fight a boss, is how earning combo points and then using combos to keep earning combo energy, and it's like once you get into that flow of like just dishing out the big moves, that's when it kind of sings a bit more. But you can discover that for yourself, I'm sure. And so in terms of puzzle, like if you think of Final Fantasy X, which maybe that's where the fear kind of comes from, which is like, oh, this enemy is a quick one, so unless I'm using Meg Ryan, I can't hit it, you know, or Tidus, sorry. And or like, oh, this one is armored, so like I need Auron because everything does 4, and like Auron will do like 200. Yes. Sorry for memeing here. But yeah, so, or you know, it's an elemental one, so if I don't use I mean, yeah, Tidus is great, but come on, yeah. So the lux will be more like a suggestion. Like the puzzle aspect of it is kind of like if you want to maximize or if you want to earn more combo points, you're gonna play that sequence. But if you want to go for the heavy hitting stuff instead, or if it's how you built your character, or if someone you paid a very good upgrade and always pick physical attack, you can kind of, oh, some people generate boost charges so that one always absorbs all 3 to do like the one massive hit and things like that, so yeah.
Cool, and still combat related, will all the actions have a time factor to them?
A time factor to them?
Well, like, will all actions need a time input to like modify its
no, so some, so not ultimates. and then also some enemy spells are like you kind of have to deal with it, or they're so hard that you're not really going to consider trying to figure it out. It's more about bringing a bit of bite, you know, to the things that you tend to do more often, you know.
Yeah, nice.
But like, so for example, if an enemy summons 2 crabs, there's nothing you do about that, you know, or if an enemy is healing another one, other than did you remove some lux to make the spell weaker, when it's cast, you know, you don't have an action, you know.
Alright. And maybe we can end it on a question that's more related to the team and the studio.
Sure,
this
yeah.
one is from Storm, that's asking, what's it like working with most of your employees based in Quebec City and some at the International? And furthermore, has working remotely due to the pandemic been a struggle, and what kind of pros and cons have there been along those lines?
Storm the cat, the mod. Well, so we, I mean, nothing beats the energy of being on the floor, you know. And there's so and also the thing that there's friction is so low, right? When you're just on your computer screen and you go like, hey, look at this. What do you think about that? If you're working remote, it's like, well, am I gonna call you, or is does it justify calling you? You know. And so we kind of felt that added friction on hundreds of little interactions on the daily, right? Also doing a brainstorm, you know, on Google Meet versus all being in the same room, you don't get the same energy out of it. But the thing though is that the team is very tight-knit, and everyone is focused and is like, yeah, I want to make this as good as I can make it. So we didn't have the problems you hear of, you know, of people are less motivated and then it shows in the output or things like that. So we didn't lose so much in velocity, but we're all much happier, you know, to kind of be together again. And then in terms of people working remotely, we have Eric, who it's been like that since even before the company was founded, since 2015. Like Eric is on tour right now with his band, but he'll be working on a laptop, you know, on the bus and things like that. So it's always been this way, which it's okay too for music, because it's less directly involved with every other team member. You know, if you compare to, say, animation, where it's like you're gonna need code, you're gonna need sound effects, you're gonna need balancing, you're gonna, you know. And then in terms of so we had 2 animators who were working remotely, and they actually immigrated to Canada. So now they're both in the studio with us. So Bruno and Tommy are home with us now. So I mean, it's, yeah, we're all just living the dream and taking this home.
Yeah, it's awesome. It definitely changed the vibe to be all here at the office, and it's great that we'll be able to like hopefully finish production of the game, like working at the office and the studio all together. That's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, so I guess this is it for today's stream. We didn't look at combat too much in the end. It was more about just the game as a whole and taking your questions. Maybe we'll do a battle deep dive for those who are interested in more the systems and the casting, the luck breaking and combos and all of that. That could be fun. We'll see how it goes. And again, we feel like there's about a year left. That probably puts us over the holiday delivery, but we're looking at options to let you play it this year. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate all your support, and we're hard at work on making this as good as we can make it for all of you.
Yeah,
so y'all have a good Friday, good weekend and everything. And thanks, Matt, also for taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks to you. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See ya.